Welcome to the Brandinc PR Podcast, where we dive deep into the stories and strategies of today's most impactful entrepreneurs, business leaders, and professionals. Whether you're building your brand, scaling your business, or just looking for inspiration, you're in the right place. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Brandinc PR Podcast. I am your fabulous host, Brandy Sims, here with another episode and a special guest this week. I have with me Petrona Joseph, who is the founder of 26 Communications, also the principal publicist of her agency. In addition to many accolades and titles, she also holds the title of author, TV personality, and blogger. I'm so excited to be able to talk to you. I mean, the fact that you have time, girl, I'm just kind of like, whoa. As I was going through your bio, I'm like, dang, girl, you've been killing it and killing it for a while. How do you
Thank
balance
you.
everything?
A lot of meditation, a lot of prayer. I like to wake up early, get that meditation time in because otherwise I would freak out. And I used to freak out, but I managed it. After 10 years, I think I got it.
Yeah. Well, hey, you've been able to work it very well and continue to add on. I know you've been diving into even more ventures as you've expanded your agency into Atlanta. So before we get into all that, I want to talk about some of the trends that have been happening in PR. It's always fun to have a PR girly on the line because we can get into these trends, we can get into these insights and just really unpack it for what it is, right? So definitely with the industry changing and what we see a lot of adaptation starting to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in terms of the rise of AI,
Oh,
social
yeah.
media shifts. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, and really not even a couple of weeks, it feels like a couple of weeks, we were dealing with the TikTok ban and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that are happening
Mm-hmm.
um, it within our spaces that definitely begs the question, what are some of the biggest trends that you see? And what do you think the impact is going to be in terms of brands and publicists for us to operate?
Mm-hmm. I think the best way to put it as influencers are now the new journalists, right?
Mm,
Right?
yep, you're
How are you
right.
going to get your word out there? I mean, forgive me, but I get my news from TikTok. I enjoy TikTok. I used to be a traditional news girly reading the newspaper. I love my sister for this. She reads the New York Times. But me, I get all the trends, everything. Like this week, there's this new trend with the American woman stuck in Pakistan. And just the
Yes,
way that took off, by the time she gets back to the US, she is going to be, brands are going to be at her feet, right?
immediately.
So,
Yes.
exactly. So, in terms of trending, I think that, again, influencers, do they bring an ROI depending on the brand? But they are the ones that bring us the news now. There's this young gentleman, he's our new CNN, also on TikTok. He gets the
Mm,
updates à la minute, as we say in French. He's up to date. So I think there's a shift from traditional journalism, traditional news, because journalists are burnt out,
yeah.
right? The traditional pitching, getting the attention of a journalist, it's also a little bit exhausting because, as you see, there's a huge shift
Yeah.
in the traditional media landscape. And who watches TV anyway? When is the last time, Brandy, you picked up a newspaper?
Okay,
Right.
the silence is deadly. The silence is deadly. Not even gonna lie, it's been a long time. I read more
Exactly.
magazines than I do newspapers, and that's just being real.
And there's your shift.
Yeah, yeah, you're so right. It's one of those things that is so important, and it's not even. I feel like it's beyond just being a trend. Like I feel like this is what the media landscape is going to look like moving forward. So for those brands that are saying, podcast, that's just below me, and I want to be on TV and I want to be on this, and it's like, sweetie, there's not enough of
Hmm.
traditional media anymore. And honestly, you really need to be rethinking your strategic comms plan anyway, because if all the eyeballs and listeners are shifting to the digital space, why aren't you shifting your brand onto those platforms where they're going to be? It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Have you
Listen,
experienced that?
if the president of the current president of the United States,
Yes.
if he can go on a podcast, anybody should be able to go on a podcast,
Yeah,
right? And he
exactly.
got more traction with that particular podcast. I'm not going to call the name, right? But you know which one I'm talking
Yep.
about. And I mean, we saw the VP on podcasts,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
that's the thing, clients, it's all about educating them, right?
Yes.
Letting them know that, someone could jog or go to the gym and listen to a podcast and engage in a podcast
Mm.
versus sitting down on a, static television watching, them on TV. It's just not the same landscape. It used to be maybe 10 years ago, and I am so sorry, Odell. I am so sorry. It used to be, I'm so sorry, Brandy. It
You're all
used to
good.
be like that 10 years ago, but it's
Yep.
no longer the same. And it's just a matter
But
of getting our clients to understand that.
100%, 100%. So I think that just with the shift, right? And it's so good that you brought this up too, because I think education is a big piece of this and letting them know, like, listen, we're not just trying to give you the quote unquote PR spin. We're just trying to sell you something or tell you something, right? But this is backed by data. Like you
Hmm.
said earlier, that you're not even really tapped into traditional media. You get most of your news from social media. Well, there's a Nielsen study that just came out and said and confirmed this. So I'm giving you some data
Hmm.
and stats. But 60% of people do the exact same thing. This is the first time in history that traditional media wasn't the top source for people getting news information.
Oh, wow.
60% of people said that they get it from social media. And I think about 52 or 53% said that they're still using newspapers, television, and radio to find out what's happening in the world. So that's a big deal.
Mhm.
And not
It
only
is.
that, most of them also said that they get like to get their news information from news content creators. So not like
Mhm.
your traditional journalist, not like your reporter, not knocking you, Don Lemon, because I still love you,
Right?
but they're not tapping into all of those notable names as much anymore. They're just tapping
Mhm.
in to social media for their news. So yeah,
Exactly.
it just is such a monumental thing, but it's something that at this point, I don't even think it's a trend anymore. Like, this is probably what it's going to be as we continue moving forward.
Oh,
So
yes.
the
And
time
I
to
would even
adapt
go a
is
step
yesterday.
further. Soon we're gonna have AI avatars giving us our news.
Ooh, okay,
Mhm.
you got a word there,
Mhm.
because I've seen a couple little examples of it, and I'm like, are we really shifting to AI providing
Mhm.
our content
Oh, right.
and
Oh,
news
yeah.
information? That is so trippy.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
considering how young it is, it's still fairly new for it to be evolving and adapting in the way that it has been. It's really trippy. But I
But
think
it
they said the
is.
same thing about social media, and why you still have those brands that, or really brands, business owners that are just like, social media is not serious. Oh, podcasts and blogs. We need to be on
Right.
TV. And it's like, did you not see the multi-million views that these people are getting? And they're just joining and
Mm.
becoming podcast influencer, things like that. Like, they just chopped on and they're getting the likes, they're getting the views, and they're getting
Oh,
the
yes.
attention. Why
That's the
aren't
key
you on
word
there?
to attraction. Yes. The
Yeah, it's about the
traction,
traction.
right? Oh, yeah.
A
Oh,
hundred
yes.
percent, 100%. So always love to hear just from other PR pros of just, what are your thoughts on some of the shifts and the changes and the dynamics that are happening with the current trends in our industry. So
Mm.
I want to really get into um challenges, right? PR
Yes.
challenges, and definitely
Where do I
get into
start?
those wins. Girl, did you say where do we start? I
Where
know,
do we
right?
start?
Girl, because with all of these options, right, there are their challenges. You have
Mhm.
the resistance to change. You have those folks that don't want to adopt these new practices and things, and want to stay and hold on to the past. But it's like, adaptation is a key, honey. We got to adapt,
Mhm.
otherwise we fall behind
Oh,
and we're no
yes.
longer relevant anymore. And you don't want that. You want to be relevant.
Exactly.
Like,
Hmm.
that's a whole factor. So can you share with me just a recent PR campaign or a success story that you've had, particularly that you're very, very proud of, in spite of all of the things that are happening that's changing in our industry?
Hmm. I would definitely say it's a multicultural festival, sorry, because it's in French, in Montreal. And so it's one of the largest multicultural Afro descendant, festival of the summer. Now, when they came to me, I was told that the previous publicist only got them maybe two placements. And,
Oh,
the founder was very tough. We're not going to pay you until we see the results. We don't work like
mhm.
this. And I said, ma'am, I have a team and we are not working until we see some form of payment. Take it or leave it. So she took the chance. And I mean, I was saying that without even knowing whether or not we can land
Yes.
any kind of coverage, right?
Lost energy. Ugh.
Exactly. But I said, you know what? She gave me the okay. As soon as I saw the deposit, I said, team, let's get to working. By the end of the actual festival, not only did we tap into a new market, right? Because they weren't able to,
Yeah.
get into the influencer market,
Mhm.
and it takes a whole strategy to get into that market because, again, online digital news, it spreads really quickly, right? So how do you engage one of the top influencers in Montreal or Ottawa to come to the city to really give the type of coverage that the festival needed, because they didn't have that. When you say African, a lot of the times people think, oh, it's very archaic, it's very, too cultural. But here we had all of these big stars. You're going to Jamaica. We had one of the biggest stars from Jamaica come down, Charlie Black. You know that song? Wine up on your body, gal. Right? So
Yes.
we had Charlie Black fly into
Yes.
Montreal, and we needed people to know that he was coming. So at the end, when we looked at all the stats, but Brandy, it was challenging, a lot of hard work. Again, how do you get the mainstream media to cover something so multicultural,
Mhm.
so diverse, right? How do you get their interest? But we were able to do it, and I was very proud of my team. We landed 40 pieces of coverage.
Woo!
40. 40.
So
Till this
killing it
day,
is like
it's
an understatement.
pardon?
Killing it is an understatement. Like you like said,
Oh yeah.
we're dominating. Like this isn't for play. We really do this work.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So now I have people
Yes.
inboxing me. Hey, is the festival coming back this year? Hey, who's coming down this year? Can you give me
Yes.
VIP tickets? And I love that for them. And I love that for myself. And I love that for my team. But just touching on how I got started in PR, my first festival and my first large scale event, it was with a rock band called the Sticks. They were flying into Montreal and they were performing at a charity event. And again, I'm from the influencer world, so I use the
Yes.
power of influence marketing, right? And
Mhm.
we blew it out the water. 6,000 people. This last one here, we had 40,000 people at the last multicultural festival. So it's all about, using tactics, strategies, and the right ones.
I love that. I love that. It sounds like for you, you were able to take what was a challenge and make it into opportunity. And you did this by tapping into the very skill set that got you as far as you've gotten today, right?
Correct.
That's such a big deal. And I think that's so important for people to be aware of just the natural skill set that you have. Of course, what comes naturally with the gifts you already have, right? And then what you work towards and you build and
Mhm,
combine that entire skill set. That's what's going to take you further along. But it's
mhm.
only until you actually tap into that skill set that you can do the amazing things that you've been able to do and be successful and really effective at it. I love that. That's
Exactly.
amazing.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, of course, of course. Yeah. So I know that, okay, so I was reading some of your past articles,
Oh Lord.
because
Oh no.
your girl was prepped. Yes,
The
yes.
ones
No, you
I
killed
wrote.
it.
Oh no.
No, girl, you did amazing. I was just like, because again, I was looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like she is a TV personality, she's a blogger, she is a business owner,
Oh
entrepreneur,
Lord.
multiple businesses, because you've had multiple businesses.
I have,
I'm like, you
yes.
are killing it, girl. And
Thank
and
you.
in one of them, you had talked about moving away from the solopreneur model, right?
Mm,
And to move towards a more collaborative approach. And it was a
mm,
game changer for you. So, what advice would you give to PR professionals who are a little hesitant to bring
mm,
in outside collaborators?
mm. I would definitely say scout well for talent,
Mm,
right?
okay.
Because talent is important. You need people that are smarter than you in certain skills, right? So when I was a small solopreneur, I had to figure out, okay, how do I do this graphic design, which I'm not good at? How do I write this? I'm a writer, but I don't think I'm a great writer. So I had to go get someone who's one of the best copywriters, Mona. Then how do I do this research, and so, but then there were people coming to me that, that I liked and that I had a affinity with, but they didn't have the talent. You know what I mean? So it's really gauging talent and understanding to fair wages, because, if you're
Mm,
collaborating, you want to make sure that you pay people well enough that they will stick with you. And I
yep.
thank God that, I have amazing collaborators and amazing contractors. I try to be as fair as I can to them, because, a lot of the times I get people reaching out to me, hey, could you collaborate with me with this? And it's always subpar. It's always below my average wage, right? Wage. So I always make sure, give a little extra, because it's not consistent work sometimes. You know what I mean? So you'd want to make sure you treat them well, but again, gauge talent, because the talent is what you need. My graphic designer, she's one of the best of the best of the best.
Yes.
And I mean, here in the US, there are so many graphic designers, but I
Yes.
go back to Montreal because I'm like, I need what she can give me, because I couldn't find anybody else that does it. She has the talent. Mona, I give her 3 lines. Mona, I don't know, you figure this out. Here, I need a press release in the next 48 hours. She comes back to me and I'm blown away. So again, it's all about having the right talent.
Oh, yes, yes. I love that. Because you know what, you're so right. Because when you're building a team, you really need to tap into what is the skills. Well, one, before you even build the team, let me rewind. Before you even build the team, you need to identify your needs.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And I love that you mentioned that. Listen, I'm not that strong in graphic design and I'm a writer, but I'm not a Pulitzer Prize winner. I'm just a regular writer.
Right.
Because I
Right.
can relate to you so much in that, because I feel the same way. I'm not the best designer. I mean, I can work my way around, but
Mhm.
I'm definitely not going to give the top quality work that an actual graphic designer is going to do. Absolutely not.
Right.
And so
Yes.
that's where we have to make the conscious decision that, listen, I don't have that strong skill set here, but you know what, who does? This person does. And
Mhm.
let's see how we can collaborate and bring them on to our team to help support the projects and the influx that we're receiving. So,
Exactly.
that I feel like that's such a good point in, not only identifying what your needs are and the skill set that you're looking for, but then also going and tapping in.
Hmm.
Do you feel like you see a lot of agency owners, and I'm not even gonna lie, because I'm in that bubble, but I'm not, just because I had experience before the pandemic. So what I'm gonna say is, I started my agency in 2020, but I had already been working in PR for about 10 years prior to that. So I'm going on 15 years now total of working
Oh
in
wow.
PR.
Hmm.
And at the time, I would just kind of hop into LinkedIn. I would hop on different sites and I would see, oh, another agency, another PR agency, another PR person, another PR person. I'm like, where did y'all all come from?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
all of a sudden, all these PR people are just everywhere, everywhere.
Yes.
And I'm not even mad at it. Hey, get it how you live. If you love the field, you want to contribute to the field, go in for it. Go for it.
Hmm.
But I did quickly start to see at that same time that there was just this influx of PR people just popping up.
Hmm.
They were also very solo. Like, nobody was building a team, nobody was scaling. It was just all at the same level.
Hmm.
And so I kind of wonder, and that's kind of what prompted me to ask you that, and what advice that you had really in that, about switching, I guess, that attitude of I need to be a solopreneur and, boss chick, and I've got it all.
Hmm.
I can do this and design, and I'm a jack of all trades. And I'm like, I'm not. I will be the first one to admit, nope, mm-mm. I'm not your graphic designer,
Hmm.
website developer, event
Right.
planner, public. I can't do all of the things at the same time. There's no way that I could do it and be effective or good, mind you, at it.
Right.
So,
Yes. 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 Absolutely.
yeah. So that's why,
Absolutely.
like, that's why it's so important, I think, with what you're saying and identifying who you need to fill those gaps and how to build upon your team, because there is this, at least to me, I don't know, what are your thoughts on it? Have you seen kind of this attitude of the solopreneur and just kind of that stagnant growth?
hmm and I see it all the time,
Yeah.
and I see, publicists trying to do everything, right? And they get
Yeah.
burnt out.
Oh,
They're always very stressed and always frazzled, always in a hurry. You know what I
yeah.
mean? They send an email and it's like, okay, I need you. And it's like, oh my God, and it's hard to work with people like that. It's
Yep.
very hard because they don't have the luxury of time. And
Mm,
so that's a whole that's I guess that's my whole perspective on it.
yeah.
You'd want to have the luxury of time,
Mm,
you know
yeah.
you want to be balanced, because while I have someone that is writing a press release or someone that is doing research, I'm scouting for business. And I tell
Mm,
people, when I'm scouting for business, I'm on the hunt. When I say I'm on the
yep.
hunt, it takes all the energy. Imagine yourself, you have a weight on your shoulder. You have people, and I had someone today messaging me, hey, do you have any work for me? And it's like, well, okay, well, I got something coming up, but it's like, I got to close that deal,
Yeah.
right? Brandy, at 3 today, I have a huge deal. I'm trying to close that,
Hello.
because that's not only for myself, that's for the people around me. So I can't do everything, because after that conversation and going into that and sending a proposal, I'm burnt out.
Yep.
I can't go pitch. I can't go, I could barely open up an email. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because my focus is the numbers, driving the numbers, driving the numbers. In our first year, I remember it was by fluke. I remember sitting there and I said, oh, I haven't even looked at my first year, doing this all by myself with a team. Let's see what the numbers look like. And I fell on my chair and I was like, wow, I never knew that, just having such support, I was able to bring in the numbers. And that's the thing too. You have more time. So now I'm going into a new sector. And because I'm going into a new sector, I
Mhm.
have the support. So I know I can delegate, right? And
Yeah.
there's a challenge to that. The challenge to that is that I need to make 20% more of what I normally would make, because I need to pay people,
Yep. That part.
but anyways, I enjoy it. I enjoy waking up, being able to meditate, being able to go to the gym, because I know that if I have work and I can say, okay, well, you take care of this, and I have the luxury of scouting and making the big deals.
There you go, making the big deals. I mean,
Yes,
I'm just
ma'am.
saying, but it's all about how you delegate. And obviously, with the success that you have, it has worked and it's effective. So
Mhm.
I just want to speak to the listeners here, and like I'm hoping you're writing all of this down while I
Oh.
have Petrona on here, because you're so right. There's this attitude of the solopreneur, and this attitude of, oh, I don't need help, or I'm the jack of all trades, one stop shop. Stop. Like,
Or you're gonna
let's put
save
that in the
money.
past, because
Hmm.
everybody needs somebody. Eventually,
Hmm.
you're going to need support. You're not going to get very far without it. So now's the time to identify what are the needs of your business, where you're stronger and more gifted at, and where are you kind of lacking. And that's a good start to start positioning the people that you need to help you build the vision that you have for your agency and your small business. But it has to start with you as the leader. Okay, you're the founder, you're the owner, CEO. It starts with you making that decision. So yeah, you're dropping gems, girl, and I feel like this is going to be so helpful, not
I
just
hope so.
for
I hope so.
other PR agency owners, but just small businesses in general. Because I
Mhm.
get it. I hear the argument all the time. I'm a solopreneur and I'm the fry cook, the burger flipper, the customer service, this, and that. And it's like, are you burnt out yet?
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
going to be, give yourself about 10 more 10 more minutes. You're going to be burnt out. There's no way that you can run efficiently on that attitude and that mindset. There's no way. Like, eventually you're
Mhm.
going to get burnt out, and then it's going to be something that you no longer enjoy, and that's what you don't want in
Exactly.
entrepreneurship, right? Like, you
Exactly.
got into this for a reason. You've been blessed to be able to get this far. You got to keep pushing, but this is where you need to start delegating. So I just
Mhm.
love that you mentioned that, because that's such a mindset that I hope that we crack, because I want to see more PR folks, agency owners, grow and scale, and not end up shutting their doors because they can't deal with the pressure because they feel like they have to do everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But then you have a life too, right?
Yeah.
Personal life, you want to spend time with your friends, you want to go out, You can't
Exactly,
do it all.
exactly.
You
The
can't do it
work-life
alone.
balance. It is possible, but it is an effort. You have to make the effort and make the
Mhm.
investment to make that possible. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And you will be left holding the bag, as they
Oh
say,
yes. Oh
and doing
yes.
everything and being
Mhm.
overwhelmed and just burnout. And that's not a good place to be. Not at all.
It's
So,
not.
kind of getting into, since we're talking about a little bit of negativity and
Oh
staying
good.
resilient in all of this, you've spoken about overcoming negativity and criticism in your journey, your career, your personal journey. So how do you apply that mindset when you're dealing with crisis comms or
Mhm.
challenging,
Mhm.
clients and PR?
Well, first of all, being a woman of color in
Mhm.
business is a challenge all by itself. I've been in a lot of instances where I had to work for my clients 10 times harder than the average person just to prove that, I am not an underdog because apparently, there was a rumor going around, oh, if you want to get on TV, Petrona is the only publicist in Montreal that can get you on TV. And then after a while, I was hearing that I'm an underdog. Why am I an underdog? And then I look at the persons that they're putting me up against, and they were persons of other descents, right? And I'm like, are you saying I'm the underdog because I'm a woman of color and because I'm a woman? What makes me an underdog? I've been doing this for such a long time. I have gotten brands on television that could never get on television because, as you know, Brandy, when you're pitching certain brands, you have the sales department. So for it to be a
Yes.
pitch that's accepted traditionally without getting sent to sales, without them being like, yeah, we can get this on TV, but that client has to pay 5 grand. For me, that in itself proves everything, but I get it. I'm not a showy publicist. I'm not posting my clients online all the time. I don't I'm not on social media showing my work as some publicists, so I get it. But the challenges are there. And for me, the most difficult challenge, and it taught me a lesson, was when a client came to us about his film. And it was knocking doors, and he didn't necessarily want to be in the media, but he wanted to entertain conversations with the journalists. And I mean, for me, it was like easy peasy, this is going to be so easy, but it wasn't. It was one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest flops that I've ever experienced. And
Mm.
I mean, but again, it's picking yourself back up, because after that experience, I'm like, am I a good publicist? am i
Yeah.
am
I
I
feel like we
doing
all
this?
have that one where we're just sitting here like this went completely not the way that I anticipated it to be. Should I even stay in this space? Maybe I should just go back to doing this. I might have to
Questioned my
start
whole
selling
life.
perfume at Dillard's again
I
or
swear to God.
Bloomingdale's.
I'm like, maybe I should have been a doctor. Like, I didn't give myself a good chance. Maybe I should go into. But
Yeah.
then I exported it out to crisis comms. And so they came back and they're like, Petrona, well, this is why this could have never worked in the first place. And I was like, oh, but it's really picking yourself back up. And, we disappoint ourselves sometimes clients. That's why the education is always very important. Having the conversation, making sure you're on the same page, explaining how PR works. And with this client, maybe it slipped through the tracks, but again, I was perceived as an underdog, and I felt like I left that situation as an underdog, but they were just never able to crack the code even after going to another agency. So, it's really coming to terms sometimes with not what we see as failings, but learning. So now, what I took from that situation is never working with political clients ever again, because it was politically motivated as well, but also the education. So when a client comes to me, I could take your money. Like I tell clients, I could take your money.
Yeah.
That's no problem, but I just don't want the headache. So I make sure I educate them. This is how this works. It's going to take a few months. You're not going to see results right away, but when the results come, so I reformulated my whole way of onboarding and client retention and customer service, making sure that, they get it.
Ooh, that is, girl, do you have a program? Listen, that sounds like a program to me because the way that I'm constantly seeing, like again, speaking from our previous kind of conversation of just the fact that people, and you see this on social media more than anything because people are always telling on themselves, but solopreneurs having trouble scaling and growing their agencies. And then
Mhm.
you see these kind of situations occur, and it's like, okay, well, what is your strategy or your model and your positioning? How are you attracting the people that you're looking for? How are you selecting? How are you filtering it down? Are you doing
Mhm.
any of those things? Because
Mhm.
it's just like you said, all money isn't good money. Just because, like, it comes in the form and usually in the way that we and the time too that we really need it.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that it's something that you immediately need to jump on, especially if it's not a good fit. That
Right.
has been, even for me, a really really big learning lesson, because I like what you said there. It's not a failure, it's a lesson, and it's
Mhm.
something that you were supposed to learn in this situation. It's up to you to take what you've learned and to do something with it. So I'm just glad that you shared that example, because again, it's so helpful to just be real. We're not
Mhm.
running around here with successful campaigns so we're just hitting the mark every single time. No agency is. Even the big guys, the Ketchum PRs, the Fleischman, they're not
Yes.
always running the most successful $1 billion.
Yes.
No, not at all. Some of them, they fail. And
Mhm.
then what do? You look at your data, you look at the insights. Okay, why did it fail? Ask the questions. Did we hit our right target? Who were we and you just go through that process. But every campaign isn't just going to be this uber success. But
Mhm.
also, every client isn't your best fit just because they're there.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's so good to hear that, you've adopted this practice of like, listen, if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. And,
Mhm.
if you want us to just take your money, I mean, we could do that, but why do that when we have the expertise and the knowledge to know that it's not going to work? And it's so
Mhm.
crazy that you mentioned
Mhm.
that even in this instance, they went off to another agency and you kind of followed that, and they still weren't successful, because I've had that happen to me. And
Right.
quietly, I'm
All
kind of like,
right.
I know you're not supposed to do that, but I'm like, look at that. I told you it couldn't be done, not in the approach that you wanted. Okay. And then
Right.
here you go to another agency and it's the same thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And just
Oh.
kind of silently gag, like, that's too bad. Crazy. Look at that. Look at us knowing what we're talking about.
Right. Right.
But see,
You
that's their
know?
learning lesson.
Mhm. Mhm.
Listen to the pros the first
Oh
time.
yes.
I'm just
Yes,
saying.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So so I love this. I love this so much. So you've built a thriving hybrid PR agency with your presence in Montreal and now in Atlanta. So what's next for
Yeah.
26 comms, and how do you see your agency evolving in the next few years?
Surprisingly, I see myself going in a more mechanical sense. The celebrity world is so amazing, and I think I've had just enough of it.
Okay.
I've
Fair
had,
enough.
dealing with different personalities, dealing with, managers. Now I want to deal, surprisingly, we're going in the direction of aviation. So
Okay.
that's going to be a whole new industry, and aviation clients are coming to me, which is, I have no idea, but listen,
Yeah.
so that's great. And another thing I want to do is more training, so more online training, because I'm answering some inquiries and I'm like, how did you get my phone number? Who told
Yeah.
you I could do that?
Yeah. That's the best ones.
So I wanted to go into more like PR
Yeah.
101 for people who have no idea. I don't work on commission. I get
Mhm.
paid, so you can't, you know what I mean? So how
Yes.
do you work with a publicist? And what does a publicist really do? And, so I'm going more in that, workshopping and, one-on-one trainings and.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean,
an ebook.
yes. Okay.
Ebook. Yes, I'm writing an ebook on are you PR ready?
Okay. I like that.
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
think there's enough education on being PR ready because I think that people really take social media for face value, and
Right.
everybody is special, and you're special to an extent. Everybody's special to an extent, but everybody thinks that they are newsworthy. Everyone thinks that because I made one post on my Instagram that Petrona, you should be able to get me a New York Times. I have I have 1,000 views. By this point, you should have had me in Forbes. And it's like, get real, people. First of all, that's not how this works. So I love that you titled it this and that you're working on this because you're so right. I don't think there's enough education on PR, what PR is and what it's not. Okay.
Exactly.
And who it
Exactly.
applies to. Because
Hmm.
there's a lot of folks that I think they're jumping into PR too early, right, in their business, and they get frustrated by the lack of results that we can provide to them. But here's the thing, it kind of goes back to what you said before. There's these agencies, they're just out here, and this is just business in general. They'll just take your money, even though they know
Hmm.
it's a failure, it's not going to work, it's not going to happen. They'll take your money and be on their way.
Oh yeah.
And there's those of us that are like, I need to know what's your story. I want to know your credibility. I want to know what you've done, what you worked on, what you are working on, to
Mhm.
see if this is going to be a good fit that aligns with the both of us. And I see more and more often these companies, like I said, will hire PR and they haven't even won an award. They haven't even broke their 1 million mark, let alone six figures, and they're hiring
Mhm.
PR, and then they're getting mad that they're not getting any coverage, they're not getting any hits or anything that they're looking for, at least. And when I say coverage, I'm always talking about top tier because they look at local. "Ugh,
Right.
you got the local or the regional." It's like it's still something for somebody not having any
Yes.
news.
You got to start
You got to
somewhere,
start
you know?
somewhere. Like, come
Hmm.
on. But they're
Hmm.
expecting Forbes and all of these top tier level media. And it's like, you are still getting started in your business. You don't have
Hmm.
anything notable or recognizable to begin with. So,
Hmm.
I think that's where that education is very much needed right now because
Oh
people are
yes.
taking way, like, they're skipping steps. They're skipping
Hmm.
steps, and they
Hmm.
think PR is the first thing when they start a business that they need to be working on. And really, first of all, you need to be working on your team. You need to be working on your product. Sorry. Go back to the beginning. You need to be working on the product and the services that you offer. That's what you need to do. Hone in,
Hmm.
perfect that. Got it? Good. Next, build your team. Next, marketing development. And then so on and so forth. Get a running head
Sales.
start. Like, what are
Your
your
sales
thoughts on that?
department, you know? I have people coming to me without websites.
Oh, I'm fainting out of my chair right now because that happens to
I'm
me
sorry.
too.
No LinkedIn. No fun, like outdated Instagram pages. Like what, and then again, I could take the money, but
And
the
just run.
ethical but there's an ethical line
There is.
because when you take their money and Brandy, we could buy articles. I could buy
Yes.
10 articles. I could take your money, buy 10 articles, and
Nope.
say, hey, but that's not gonna get you to where you want. That's not gonna get you the results you want. You know what I
Nope.
mean? So I rather do a course and write the book and send it for free to people that really need to know what's up because at the end of the day, it's all about sleeping well at night. When I go
Yes.
to bed at night, I like to sleep. Sometimes I have trouble sleeping because I have so much going on my mind. But
Too many tabs. Too many tabs
right,
open.
and so and you don't want people inboxing you. I paid you the money. I didn't get the results I wanted, or
Mhm.
I paid you and you didn't get me in Forbes. You didn't get me on CNN. So to avoid all of that
There
stuff.
you go.
And to weed, you'd be baffled at the conversations.
Mm.
sometimes I have, and the astonishment of like, what do we have here? What are we? And I don't want to downplay anyone, and I don't want to, and I respect, the
Yes.
inquiries, but at the end of the day, if I can go that route and it could save me 15 minutes. I had somebody call me the other day and he mentioned that, well, I want to throw BBW parties. What? You don't need a publicist for that, sir. Like, why are you calling?
That's an event planner. See, once again. So we almost need to do our own PR campaign for PR to really tell our story because that's not even our work. That's an event planner. We are not party planners. That is not our job. We outsource to them. Absolutely.
Right?
I've got
Yes,
great event planners
yes.
I work with. But as far as me,
Exactly.
no, that's not what we do.
Oh
We are
yeah.
media based.
Right. Or the best one, and I'll leave you with this one. Hey, I'm trying to close a deal with Universal, and I need a publicist. No, sir, you need a lawyer. Like, leave me alone. Like, what do
Girl, and you know what? And I blame the one stop shop people. Stop telling these people, again, I'm speaking you directly, listeners. Like, please stop telling these people that you are the one stop shop of all things and things that we don't even do. I am not a lawyer. There is a lawyer. I am not a manager because PR gets confused with manager too.
Right.
I'm not booking your gigs. That's a manager. And actually, that's a booking agent.
Right. Well, did you see one of my last reels? I had to talk about it because I'm like, this is getting
It's
ridiculous,
getting ridiculous.
out of
Okay, so
hand.
it
But I
needs to be
blame
said.
that on the publicists who say they can do everything.
Yep,
Got
100%.
to talk
Because
about
it's those ones that are saying this and presenting themselves as if they hold all of these titles, and that's not possible. Like, no,
it.
not at all. That's not what PR is. PR is a very specific role, and it works with all the other roles,
Yes.
departments, and areas to help a brand. Like, we have a very specific role, but no, this isn't no one stop shop manager, lawyer, doctor, your friend, home. No, no, no. This is already
Psychologist,
too many titles now.
because the times be breaking down, so you it's like, no, sir, I'm trying to get you visibility. Leave me alone with the
Leave me
rest.
out of this. I'm not booking your shows. No, I do not do that. And I've had that one too. It's like, oh yeah, I need you to get me on the O2 arena. I was like, what? Like, first of all, I'm not even UK based. Like, what? Like, where did you see, Petrona, I need to ask better questions. Like you said, where did you find me? Because wherever that is or whoever referred you, I'm calling them up right now. Like, don't be
Right?
sending me craziness.
It's
I
even
don't
a
do that.
talk.
I don't
Oh
play
yeah.
that. Playing around. Well, girl, this has been such a good conversation. I have really, really enjoyed just talking to you about
Thank
your
you. You too.
journey and your experiences. And, you add so much value to this industry. And I'm just
Thank
so
you.
thankful that you had time to come sit down and just share your insight and your advice, especially for those that are considering this field, considering this space, as well as just small business owners in general that are thinking of taking that leap, not only to start the business, or maybe they're considering branching off into a new market because now you're doing
Mhm.
multiple markets, which what we
Mhm.
would call is global now. You're global level now, and that's something that you don't see a lot of women, let alone Black women, be able to take
Mhm.
on. So, my hat's off to you and everything that you're doing, and just
Thank
I thank
you.
you so much for being here and just sharing all of this incredible wisdom and insight that you have over your years of just building and growing and grinding, really and
And thanks to
truly.
you too, Brandy, and for your time too, because I know you're booked and busy. So I appreciate you taking the time as well.
Yes, yes. No, you're very welcome, girl. This is always fun. When we started this podcast, I was just like, listen, I want to create something where it reflects the very conversations we're having behind the scenes. Like, this is conversations that we have behind the scenes all the time. And you
Right.
really show people, like, this is what it's like. This is the issues that we deal with. And these are the insights that we have to provide that can help you and actually can apply to more industries than ours. So in
Mhm.
creating this, it definitely was just one of those things that I want to have the folks here that are really doing the work, and you are
Mhm.
really doing the work. And I'm just so excited that we finally got to have our chance to
Yes.
chat. So That being said, before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. How can people get in contact with you?
Mhm.
And what are some upcoming projects that we can support?
Sure. Well, the easiest way would be on LinkedIn, Petrona Joseph. If you Google me, it should be the second or third, option. What I'm working on right now, I'm trying to close deals, Brandy. I'm just trying to close deals.
Hello. I love
Just
it.
trying to close
Yes.
deals for 2025.
Yes.
And apart from that, the book. So I'm
Yep.
working, as you know, I'm also a mental health advocate. So I'm always torn, okay, God, which book do I write? And so I'm finally, conceiving the book for PR and an
Mhm.
upcoming book in May about life after antidepressants,
Yeah.
and how that affects us as well, in our communities. But that's all that's going on. Then hopefully a vacation, a really nice one.
We're putting that in energy in the air. We're manifesting.
Yes, ma'am.
Trona is going to get that vacation. She is
Yes,
going to
ma'am.
enjoy herself and live her best life. We're doing that. We're putting that energy out there.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, of
Oh,
course.
Lord,
Well, I
no,
thank you again so
yes.
much for being a part of this.
Yes.
And yeah, as a reminder, check out the Branding PR podcast. We have weekly episodes. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe, share us. And always, we're always looking for wonderful guests. If you have a recommendation, hit us up at hello@brandingpr.com, as well as, yeah, just share it to your network, ask questions, and start the conversations within your own personal circles, and how we can get better as business owners, as entrepreneurs in these different spaces, and navigating very turbulent waters. I'm just going to say that, turbulent waters right now in the US. But we've got the resources, we've got the folks involved, and it's just up to us to tap in. So how are you going to tap in this week? So I will see you all next time for the next episode of the Brandinc PR Podcast. See ya.